The Autopen scandal keeps getting worse, and now we have got the smoking gun. President Trump just revealed exactly how to identify the forged signatures, those telltale pinholes that prove Biden never touched the documents at all. Think about it. While America burned and our borders collapsed, radical leftists were literally running the country with a mechanical signature. New testimony from Biden's own aides is about to blow the story wide open. They are being forced to answer under oath. Who controlled the Autopen? How many documents were signed without Biden's knowledge? Which pardons are actually invalid? The constitutional crime of the century is unraveling before our eyes, and the perpetrators are running scared. The evidence is overwhelming, so don't look away. And just like the Autopen mechanically signed away America's future, aging mechanically breaks down your body's collagen, the protein that holds everything together. While radical operatives use a machine to forge Biden's signature, time uses its own process to forge wrinkles and joint pain. But you can fight back against this automatic decline. Ageless multi-collagen provides 5 types of collagen to restore what time steals. No mechanical substitutes, just real collagen from clean sources. While we expose how machines hijacked our democracy, don't let aging hijack your health. Visit healthwithgary.com for 51% off and reclaim control naturally. You'll find it linked in the description. Okay, so the constitutional crisis we've been warning about just reached critical mass. And check this out. Here is our new shirt we just dropped in the merch shop, by the way. This is President Autopen in Chief. You can grab that in the merch shop, link down in the description. But in an explosive interview with Miranda Devine, President Trump didn't just hint at the Autopen scandal, he laid out the entire criminal conspiracy. Watch as he reveals how radical left lunatics literally hijacked the presidency using a mechanical signature device to push policies Biden himself would have never approved. This is the smoking gun that proves everything that we've been reporting. Watch.
What he did to this country was disgraceful.
What was the worst?
So much damage done to this country.
Yeah.
And we're fixing it step by step. I think we're really way ahead economically. You saw the numbers are coming out phenomenally well. But, you know, we have all of those errors. I guess you could call them unforced, or maybe you call them forced errors. The border, where they allowed 21 million people in. Many of these people should never be in this country. They're from jails and prisons all over the world. They're from mental institutions.
Why did he do that? So destructive.
Nobody can understand it. You know, they say for the votes, but I don't believe that, because they cheat and you don't have to do it. When you cheat, you don't have to do that. So destructive. And so much of what we're doing now is getting killers out of our country, taking them back to where they came from, whether it's Venezuela. And by the way, not just South America, it's all over the world. They come in from the Congo, from prisons in the Congo. They come in from places that nobody would believe, from all over the world. And a lot of times I get asked that question, why would they do that? And I can always tell you, you know, when you have an opponent or you have somebody on the other side, or you're buying a property or something, you always sort of understand, why are they selling and why are you buying it? Nobody can understand why they allowed people to come into our country totally unvetted, unchecked. No checks, no nothing, just come on in.
Do you think Joe Biden knew?
No, I don't believe so. I think it was a little bit of an Autopen deal. The people who ran this country were radical left lunatics. And I believe he was perfect. They didn't want him. They wanted Bernie Sanders. They got him. And I think for the first 2 weeks, they were really, really disappointed. They couldn't even believe it. And then they realized that you had somebody that didn't know what he was doing. They could do anything they wanted because the Autopen was the power.
The Autopen was the power. Those 5 words just rewrote American history. Biden was a puppet who didn't even know his strings were being pulled by a machine. But Trump went even further in another segment, proving the forensic evidence that proves this crime. He's not making accusations. He's showing exactly how investigators can identify Autopen fraud. The physical evidence is undeniable, and it's about to invalidate countless executive orders and pardons. Now, pay very close attention as Trump explains the telltale signs that expose this mechanical coup against our republic. Watch.
Come on in.
Do you think Joe Biden knew?
No, I don't believe so. I think it was a little bit of an Autopen deal. The people who ran this country were radical left lunatics. And I believe he was perfect. They didn't want him. They wanted Bernie Sanders. They got him. And I think for the first 2 weeks, they were really, really disappointed. They couldn't even believe it. And then they realized that you had somebody that didn't know what he was doing. They could do anything they wanted because the Autopen was the power.
And you can tell where the Autopen is used, can't you?
Oh, you can see it easily. Yeah. I mean, Autopens are easy to, if you know that. So usually they have pinholes that the pinhole grabs it, boom. It's like two little pinholes that grabs it this way. For the next one, it just signs as much as you want. In some cases, they have that. And you see it from, if you're going to look at 2 or 3 or 4, you see it's exactly the same. There's zero change. When you sign your name, everyone's a little bit different, right? When you have an Autopen, it's exactly the same.
That's a crime to do that to the country.
Well, number one, I really believe it was a crime because I don't think he knew he was doing it. I think that people took over the Autopen. They got things signed that shouldn't have been signed. I don't believe he ever wanted open borders. I don't believe, he talked as, if you go back and look a few years before, he wanted borders as tight as I did. And so they took over the White House. These people took over. They're sick. And what they've done is terrible. But the good news is we're fixing it.
The pinholes, they are the fingerprints of treason. Every identical signature is evidence of the greatest fraud ever perpetrated on the American people. And now the dominoes are falling fast. Byron Donald just announced that 4 former Biden aides have agreed to testify before Congress. And he's coming in hot with questions that will expose the entire conspiracy. Now remember, these are not friendly witnesses. These are co-conspirators being forced to tell the truth under penalty of perjury. Now watch as Donald reveals his battle plan to uncover how long they had they hid his incapacity and who was really running our government. Watch.
4 former Biden aides have agreed to testify in the investigation into the former president's mental decline. You're on the oversight committee. You're going to be asking these 4 people questions. What are you going to ask them?
My number one question is going to be, why did you hide Joe Biden from us for so long? Why did it have to take a debate on June 29 to realize he was no longer with us, when the truth is we all knew that? My other questions are, how often was he in briefings? What was the length of these briefings? Did he actually have cogent questions? Did staffers have to put him back on topic and on task, or would he ramble off or go off into corners that were making no sense? I want to know what the medical reports were for President Biden, because they would not release them to the American people. And I have a feeling in a hearing like this, initial questions are going to come, which are going to yield and actually spawn new questions that are going to arise. So this isn't going to be a one-shot hearing as far as I'm concerned. I think this is going to go on for quite some time.
So why did you hide Joe Biden from us for so long? That question alone could bring down the entire deep state apparatus that hijacked our republic. Now, the legal implications are staggering. Constitutional attorney Ed Martin just dropped a bombshell about those last-minute pardons that Biden supposedly signed. And if Biden didn't have the mental capacity to authorize his signature, every single one of those pardons, including Adam Schiff's, could be legally worthless. This is not speculation anymore. It's a constitutional crisis that could send deep state criminals back to face justice. Watch.
Absolutely. If President Biden wasn't aware and he didn't have the capacity to ask for his signature to be affixed to those last-minute pardons. I've said this publicly to Adam Schiff, that his pardon, I believe, is no good. There are no circumstances in which Biden had the 1, mental capacity, and then 2, I don't believe he was even aware someone else was doing it on his behalf. Those final days were absolutely chaos, and I think ultimately with pardon attorney USA or Ed Martin, we're going to figure out exactly what went down in that chaotic pardon office and in the White House.
Whoever controlled the Autopen controlled the White House, and now those pardons that they signed might not be worth the paper they're printed on. The criminal investigation is officially underway. When Daily Signal's reporter pressed about whether this constitutes as an impeachable offense, Press Secretary Leavitt revealed that the Department of Justice is now actively investigating the Autopen scandal. Watch as she confirms this could be a criminal offense that sends Biden staffers to prison. Watch.
Topic. President Trump has indicated that aides to former President Biden who used the Autopen to sign major orders and pardons should be investigated for potential crimes. Does he think that Biden allowing, or at least being negligently unaware of this activity, was an impeachable offense?
I haven't heard the president address whether it's an impeachable offense, but it could perhaps be a criminal offense, especially on behalf of staffers who may have been utilizing the president's signature without his authority or consent. I understand that Republicans on the Hill are moving in the right direction to call attention to this and to bring in some former White House staffers who clearly knew more than they ever shared and never addressed with the American public. And so we look forward to seeing where this investigation continues. And I know the Department of Justice is also looking into the matter.
The DOJ is investigating. Criminal charges are on the table. The staffers who used Biden's signature without consent could be heading to federal prison. I mean, think about the implications here. Every executive order signed on immigration signed by a machine. Every policy that destroyed our energy independence signed by a machine. Every radical appointment, every woke directive, every economy-crushing regulation, all potentially signed without the president's knowledge or consent. This explains everything. Why Biden seems surprised by his own policies, why he contradicted his own executive orders and public statements, why his signatures were identical on documents signed days apart. The man who campaigned as a moderate was turned into a radical revolutionary by whoever controlled the Autopen. The deep state thought they could get away with it. They thought Americans were too distracted and too divided and too demoralized to notice, but Trump noticed. He saw those pinholes. He recognized the identical signatures, and now he's exposing the greatest fraud in American history. We're not talking about simple forgery. We are talking about the theft of presidential power, the subversion of our constitutional system, and the implementation of a radical agenda that the American people never voted for. Every parent who watched their child be indoctrinated with gender ideology, every worker who lost their job to an illegal immigrant, every family crushed by inflation, you were the victims of the Autopen coup. The investigation is only just beginning. Congressional subpoenas are flying. Former aides are being forced to testify. The Autopen itself is being examined for evidence. And the list of potentially invalid executive actions grows longer by the day. If you got value from this report, tap subscribe. It's time for my final thought. Now, the Autopen scandal isn't just about forged signatures. It's about the systematic theft of our American republic by unelected radicals who turned our president into a rubber stamp. Every crisis that we've faced, the border invasion, economic destruction, the woke takeover, all potentially engineered by shadow operators with access to a machine. Yes, this is bigger than Watergate, bigger than any scandal in our history. We're talking about a soft coup that bypassed our entire constitutional system. And the evidence is there in every identical signature, every pinhole, every policy Biden seems shocked by in his own administration. Now comes the reckoning. Pardons invalidated, executive orders nullified, criminals exposed. So here is my question for you. Should everyone who had access to Biden's Autopen face treason charges? Let me know in the comments. And remember, grab your next news gear from our shop. This is our new Autopen, President Autopen t-shirt. Show the world you stand against mechanical tyranny.